Hey, hi guys, how's it hanging? How's it going? Alles goed? Awesome, that's great to hear. With the new meta around the corner, why don't we take the time to take a look at the new cards that made huge waves in Yu-Gi-Oh! 2015?
Hey,
Coming in at number 8, lose one turn, printed out in Cross Souls as an ultra rare, and then reprinted in an Extra Pack 8 as a super rare. This card was a pretty high commodity during its day. It actually still sees play today. Mostly played in control decks like Clifford, Yosenju, and sometimes actually in Yangzing. Oh, as a 2-off in their main or 2-off in their side, being able to deal with various amounts of special summon decks, which can be a pretty bothersome thing for those decks to be dealing with. Since individually on their own, the deck is not necessarily weak, it just have issues dealing with monsters that are boss monsters that are usually special summoned from the extra deck or special summoned from hand. And with lose a turn, that helped a lot. But there was an unfortunate situation with lose a turn actually at one of the USA Konami events where lose a turn was ruled as a breakthrough skill, so it did not really matter if your monster, special summon monster, was sent to the grave as cost, it still was negated, even to the graveyard. So it needed to be reprinted, or it needed to be clearly stated in the ruling in its card text whether or not it was more like a skill drain instead of a breakthrough skill. And now that has been reprinted in Asher Pack 8, that has been totally clarified for everybody to see. So it now is ruled like a skill drain. So if your monster leaves the field and it does have a trigger effect, doesn't really matter where it goes, it still resolves, which is still kind of cool.
7.
Coming in at number 7, Telenite Patellamayos. It's a generic rank 4 exceed actually, so you can create it with 2 or more level 4 monsters. With the more being, I guess, what you want to go for or aim for if you're not playing a Talonite deck. Or you can play a Deltaros in your extra deck or Diamond in your extra deck and be able to attach it as well. So then it adds to the 3 materials that you need to use its effect. Once per chain, during either player's turn, you can detach 3 materials and special summon from your extra deck one exceed monster that is 1 rank higher than this card, except for a number monster, because they don't roll like that. Which actually segues into Cyber Dragon Infinity coming out relatively soon, and in the OCG, this card is actually banned, since it was one of the relatively easiest enablers of being able to create an Infinity deck. Or you can just, it was a very generic splashable card with Patellamayas. It just made Infinity really hard to deal with.
6.
Coming in at number 6, Alshon. This card was one of the banes in existences of the Necros era, being printed just close to the end of the Necros era. Alshon, printed out in Cross Souls, being the end-all, be-all, the end-all of a whole lot of decks that wanted a special summon out of your hand, or graveyard using spells or traps. So, versus Talonites versus just about any deck that required special summoning spells or special summoning traps was in for a pretty bad time against this card. And even today, even the deck isn't necessarily as popular as it used to be, being that Construct is now currently banned, and El Shaddai Fusion is at 1. Doesn't necessarily mean the deck is dead. Just means it's a whole lot weaker than it used to be. But that doesn't change that the card was good at its time, and it's still pretty good today.
5.
Coming in at number 5. From the Hero Strike structure deck, we have the super rare elemental hero, Shadow Mist. Individually, it's a pretty good card actually, being able to search out for a mask, change card whenever you special summon him, and whenever you send to the graveyard, being able to search for a hero card and add it to hand. It became, some sort of a pseudo Stratos with a lesser effect, lesser attack, and lesser defense. Well, more defense than Stratos actually, but lesser attack needed in any case. It became a pretty decent card for when we needed it for, and it's still being played in hero decks to date. It's one of the most cornerstone utility cards, one of the better cards that have been printed of the hero archetype next to Stratos. Except for this following card. Mascuro Dog Roll. Sorry for saying it like that. I don't know. It's just that this with this card, it just kind of needs to be said like that. He looks like a Black Power Ranger. I mean, come on. Or a Kamen Rider. Actually, it's more specifically a Kamen Rider. But not gonna get off the point here. Mascure Dark Law printed out also in the Hero Strike structure deck, being the go-to monster that they printed out for the structure deck, and being one of the go-to cards in a whole lot of dark decks, being splashable in a whole lot of decks. And it actually took one of a YCS actually this year in Prague, being played in Burning Abyss. You wouldn't expect it to be in there, but hey, it is being able to be used by Mass Change 2 and being able to be summoned by it, and then still getting off your effect. Dark Law has one of the most versatile, dangerously versatile effects of it being, I don't know if Yu-Gi-Oh has this term called replacement effects, where if anything would be, sent to the graveyard, it is banished instead of going to the graveyard at all, which is kind of cool. And whenever you would want to search a card, you can declare this effect and be able to banish a card out of your hand, which is actually pretty nasty to deal with. So being a microcosmos for your opponent, and also being a banisher for whenever he wants to search for something, Dark Law made a very big splash in more than half of the format, being pretty good against Necros at the time.
3,
And coming in at number 3, Stalinite Gun Stellar Diamond. Why did it stake this slot, you ask? Take a look at it, man. Shining bright, like a diamond. No, I'm sorry. But on a serious note, this card was a pretty annoying card to deal with during its time if you were playing in a dark deck or anything like that, or you revolved our whole round engine when Mathematician was at 3, Mathematician being at 1 right now. But when it was at 3 at the time, it was kind of hard to play around this card when you had a whole lot of outs against the deck that it was being used in. And they just sucked this to the board. It was pretty hard to be able to deal with from there. Printed in Secrets of Eternity, this takes up the number 3 slot. And coming in at number 2, Cyframe Lord Omega is on this list as a secret rare from Height-Speed Riders, being played in Cyframes as its main archetype deck, but also being since it's a generic, being splashable in the deck called Infernoids, which actually makes really abusive use of this card. Oh my god, it's so good. Once per turn during either player's main phase, you can banish this card from the field and one random card from your opponent's hand, so being able to, on its own, dodge removal and being able to create a bit of disruption from your opponent. Maybe sniping away a key card. And it also banishes a face up, so you also have information. So if you play stuff like Mind Crush, when they add it back in a standby phase, when its monster comes back and the card comes back as well, you can Mind Crush whatever card that was banished with it. And once per turn during your opponent's standby phase, you can target one banished card and return it to the graveyard. Usually you want to just use it to return whatever Infernoid cards, if you're playing it in Infernoids, or any Cyphering cards that you happen to banish, which would be the Cyframe Overload, which is one of the best removals in Cyframes as a trap card, continuous as well. And it also has a secondary effect of when this card is in a graveyard, so even if it gets Solemn Warning or whatever, it can return itself and a card from either player's graveyard back into the deck and shuffle the deck. And coming in at number 1, Cosmo Dark Destroyer, aka the Dark Wallet Destroyer, or aka, seriously Konami, why is this card so expensive, Destroyer? Oh my god, Konami, why is it secret, Destroyer? I could go on and on about how much this card costs at the moment. It is ridiculous. Dimension of Chaos printed Cosmo Dark Destroyer, having the effect of, when this card is normal summon and special summon, you can target one monster on the field and destroy it. Cannot be targeted by opponent's card effects. And if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effects, doesn't matter where, doesn't matter how, and sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon one level 7 or lower Cosmo monster from your deck. So, getting just about anything. Forerunner, it's level 7, get him. Slip Rider, level 5, get him. And you're good to go. Like, why is this on the list? Generally being that it's a pretty new card. I don't know. It's just the card is good on its own. Technically, you don't necessarily need to play it in Cosmo to make it a pretty good card. You can kind of just play it in anything because it says normal or special summon. So I mean, you could just basically put it in any deck that can force special summon a machine type monster or whatever, and it's actually still a pretty good card. It's not necessarily generic. It's better in Cosmo, of course, since it's an archetype based card. But right now, it's making one of the biggest splash in the scene, being one of the most expensive cards of the year, next to Bryonic, actually. Necros of Bryonic was 160, 150 at the time. This card is there. It's close to it. It's close to it. I mean, you gotta sell like a kidney or two to be able to build a deck now, but I mean, hey. Dank memes and dreams, right? Dank memes and dreams. So I'd like to thank each and every last one of you lovely individuals stopping by, taking a look, and taking a listen to what I had to say about the current cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh format 2000, well, not current, well, past formats of 2015 and some of the more recent cards of 2015. So I'd like to thank each and every last one of you for sitting down through that most torturous situation. So be awesome, stay awesome, guys, and have a wonderful day.